A new Transformers comic book by Daniel Warren Johnson. Is it more than meets the eye? Let's find out. Where's Hal, everybody, and welcome to yet another video, and welcome to yet another review video, my dear friends. That which you can see on the screen in front of you is the best comic book I've read this year in 2024. Now, this is a collected edition of the first 6 issues of Transformers by Daniel Warren Johnson, a brand new series that came out not so long ago. And let me tell you, if you want to read a very good Transformers story that will please both the Generation 1 fans and somebody who has never ventured into Transformers, get this one. Now, people are saying that good comic books are not published anymore by the mainstream. They are. I mean, let me tell you, let me assure you, I do follow the comic book industry, and I'm going to tell you that at least 1 or 2 good comics are published each and every single month, but this one takes the first place at this moment, my dear friend. So I'm going to show you a first couple of pages. Not going to show you everything. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about the story. I'm going to talk about the background. I'm going to talk about the author, and I'm going to talk about the art. However, I have to say that if you haven't read it, please read it, and then come back, because this comic book or this review is going to be filled with big and huge spoilers right from the get-go. So, Transformers. This one, in particular, this collected edition is called Robots in Disguise, and it is published by Image Comics. Now, for a long time, Transformers were under the helm of IDW. Before that, they were, of course, published by Marvel Comics. Transformers having a very long history. I don't have to talk about it here. You know, the fact that it started as toys in the 1980s, and then, you know, they went to Marvel Comics to make up names and backgrounds to the characters, and then there was the show, and then the 1986 movie that made, like, the franchise, like, extremely popular all around the world. Don't have to talk about that. What is important here is it was written and illustrated both by Daniel Warren Johnson, a very, very talented artist and writer. And what it is basically a retelling of the G1 story. Both the cartoon and the original comic by Marvel Comics. You know, if you've encountered both, you know that those two things, those two media, they have like similar beginnings, but they differ a little bit. The same can be said here. From the get-go, you can see, and that is what I appreciate extremely, the artwork by Daniel Warren Johnson. Beautiful. He has a scratchy style, which I have always appreciated, but what I appreciate the most about it is that you can see quite clearly that it is hand-drawn and hand-inked. Even if you can see, if you look at the panels here, and the frames of the panels, you can see that it's actually like a marker being used. This is not done digitally. These panels here are not assembled digitally. Now, I can't say anything about the coloring. Obviously, the coloring, I would say, is digitally done. But the artwork, the line work, the pencils and the ink, 100%. And even those bubbles here, they are done by hand. I'm sure he had some templates, but by hand, everything is just extraordinary. So obviously, we start with 2 young humans finding under the rock the Ark, which of course is the beginning of both the G1 cartoon and the comic book. Just, you know, we are in the Ark, you know, where the Transformers are situated. They landed on Earth, they crashed there, and they had been there for millennia, waiting in slumber. for an earthquake that will wake them up. Who wakes them up here, actually, is Jetfire. Now, I'm skipping ahead, but you can see beautifully here, the inside of the Ark, the bots both and Decepticons being all effed up, and then we got Jetfire here, who had been on Earth in this comic book for quite some time. He had left Cybertron before the other bots to search for, means how to save Cybertron, how to end the millennia-long war between Autobots and Decepticons. He finds them, he wakes them up. What he doesn't know is that when he wakes them up, Starscream is going to wake up first, and he's going to wreak havoc from the get-go. And this is the first shocker here. He annihilates Bumblebee even before Bumblebee wakes up. Of course, Jetfire is shocked. He didn't want this to happen. Starscream shoots him, and then the other Autobots are waking up. And of course, this panel right here, Optimus Prime punching Starscream and saying never. Does it remind you of a certain scene in the 1986 movie? Well, of course, instead of Starscream there was Megatron, but you know what I mean. And so before, or really without going any further, which I won't because I don't want to spoil much, so this is where I will end as far as the pages and artwork goes. But what I want to talk about is the story. So, as I said already, it is basically a retelling of the origins of the beginning of the G1 story. But what he did differently is that this is really for more mature audience. It is very brutal. It is, I would say, even more realistic. Definitely not this kind of kiddie cartoon that we know from the 1984 animated series. It is suspenseful to extreme in that, how Starscream annihilated Bumblebee just a couple of pages ago. So you don't know which Transformer will live and which Transformer will not by the end of each and every individual issue. So you don't know. It really resembles the 1986 movie in that that a lot of Transformers perished there. Well, it might be similar here. It might not. You don't know. The stakes are very high here. But the story is the same in that the Transformers, all of them, they wake up. Not all of them. The Transformers wake up on Earth. And then, of course, we get to know that there had been the war between Autobots and Decepticons, and they immediately start fighting here, as you can see. And what they need to do is to find a source of power, source of energy, because they are low on energon. So they are trying to find some sort of raw means on Earth how to harvest energy for themselves. And in the meanwhile, they are, of course, fighting, and the Autobots are trying to preserve the humans, protect the humans and the Earth, whereas Decepticons, they don't give a flying toss, they don't care. One more spoiler, it is brutal in the way that the Decepticons, especially then Starscream, they annihilate humans as well. I mean, in very graphic way. And so in that way, it's really, really for more mature audiences, I would say. What I also love about it is they made Starscream into more of a badass than he was in the original cartoon. In that, one more spoiler, in the first story arc, the first 6 issues, Megatron is not awakened yet, and so Starscream is in charge of the Decepticons. So there is nobody to suck up to, but he hates Megatron still. So this resulted in the fact that Starscream is a little bit more badass than he was in the original series. He isn't a footlicker as much as he was in the cartoon. And so he is the main villain, really. He is the leader of the Decepticons here. This being said, quite obviously, we are getting nods to Megatron. We are meeting a lot of our favorite Autobots, both, and Decepticons. As I said, I'm not going to venture any further as far as the story goes. I don't want to spoil the entire story. But these are the things that I appreciate about the comic book the most. The fact that it is a honorable and a very good retelling of the original G1 story. It's absolutely, it honors the OG Transformers. It does some things a little bit differently, but they don't. Those things does not spoil the story. They move the story onward. It's actually the opposite. They make the story better. They make the story more suspenseful. The stakes are high. As I said, I love the artwork by Daniel Warren Johnson. He has got his own specific art style, which is very important for a comic book artist. Because when you look at a page, when you look at a picture, you will instantly recognize that it is a particular artist. He does everything by hand. I mean, I'm sure there are things done digitally as far as the coloring and the finishing touches go, but as far as the line work and the inks, it's all done by hand, and that is something that I love, very much. And of course, each and every single issue, it ends with a little bit of a cliffhanger, which is very important for a periodical format such as an American comic book is. All in all, I can say I have thoroughly enjoyed the first volume of Transformers by Daniel Warren Johnson, the first 6 issues, and I can't wait to read more. Alright, let me know in the comments down below what you think. Have you read it? Are you going to? What do you think about it? And that'll be all. Thank you very much for watching, and I'm out of here.